Now let's look at the second data structure, and that's called a list. Okay, we already talked a little bit about list when we were discussing tuple. Okay. List is variable length mutable sequence of Python objects. So it is a tuple. It's like tuple, except that you can change everything. You can take away stuff. You can put new stuff in it. You can change what is already in it, and so on. Okay. And with that difference, okay, so you have the objects are separated by comma, which is a like tuple, except that now you don't have the option of leaving out the square brackets, because if you leave out square brackets, then Python will think it's a tuple. So it will create a tuple of those elements. So you have to have square brackets. Okay, so the entire sequence must be enclosed by left and right square brackets. So this needs to be changed to must be. Because if you don't enclose by square bracket, Python will think you're entering a tuple. So let's look at an example. So I have 2, 3, 7, and none, and say okay. Now remember, the square brackets tell you that it is a list. Regular left and right parenthesis tells you that it is a tuple. Square brackets tell you it is a list. Okay. Now, if you had a list, we could convert the list into a tuple using the tuple function, right? Tuple and then whatever that you provide. Like, so if you have a list here, and if you did tuple of a list, well, that's converted the list into a tuple. Okay. And similarly, you have the reverse function, and that is called list. So if you have a tuple, let's say we have a tuple which is A G okay. So that's a tuple, and then you want that to be changed to a list, and you use list of that tuple. Okay. Well, let's print that. Okay. So now you see the square brackets that tell you that it's converted the tuple into a list. and we already talked about mutable. So if you, and we can check that out. Say we have top list, say 1 equal to, okay, now which element will this change? The element value A, Z, foo, 4, 5. Which one will this change? Well, okay, remember that's 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's changed now. Okay? Now, we talked about range in the previous chapter. Okay, remember, range sets up, say, okay, let's range sets up a generator. Okay, range doesn't give you the values, and there are 3 things, right? Start, stop, step. Okay, and then it's those 3 values are coded. Of course, the default start is 0, default step is 1. So if you just give one number, then starting point is 0, step is 1, right? So if I say range 15, then it's going to assume 0, 15, 1. Yeah. Now if so if you display what A is, it just simply says range 0, 15. It doesn't tell you the numbers. And you don't need the numbers. If you're going to use this as an iterator in a loop that we talked about last time, then you don't need the values. But for us to see what those values are, suppose you want to expand it. You want to change the generator into actual values. Then you have to use the list function. So if you say list A, then that will list the values of the generator. Okay? But usually we wouldn't want that. We want just the generator, because the range function is used as an iterator, and you really don't care for the individual values. You want to be able to generate those individual values on the fly.